You wake up to an alarm. You check your phone before your feet touch the floor. You complain about the commute, the deadline, the heat outside your air-conditioned window. But 4,000 years ago, someone woke up to the smell of the Nile, and their day was about to be far tougher than yours. Their body was rapidly aging. Their life has almost nothing to do with pharaohs or gold. It has to do with mud, and a river that decides whether you live or starve. Forget the pyramids. Picture the village instead. You are not royalty. You are not a priest. You are one of the 95% of ancient Egyptians who were farmers, laborers, or craftspeople. Your house is mud brick and it is hot inside during the day and cool at night. You sleep on a woven mat. Your pillow is a curved piece of wood or stone that props up your neck, not your head. Why? Because a soft pillow in the desert heat traps warmth against your skin all night. A hard headrest keeps air moving. Comfort back then meant something completely different than it does now. Now think about your job. If you're a farmer, when the Nile floods, you can't farm. So the state puts you to work instead, often on royal building projects. You were almost certainly not a slave building the pyramids. Archaeologist Mark Leaner spent decades excavating the workers' village near the Giza Plateau, and what he found wasn't a prison camp. It was a functioning town, with bakeries, breweries, and medical care. Skeletons recovered from that site show healed fractures, evidence of surgery, and even signs of amputations that the person survived. That's not slavery, that's a labor force with a healthcare system attached to it. But don't romanticize it either. The analysis of skeletons found in Egypt found signs of severe physical stress, stunted growth in children, spinal damage from carrying heavy loads, evidence that many people, even young adults, were already worn down by manual labor. Life along the Nile was not a leisurely paradise of sandals and sunshine. It was work, almost constantly in brutal heat, with a body that had no ibuprofen and no rest day. So how long did that body actually last? Your average life expectancy might land somewhere in your 30s or 40s, but that number is misleading. It's dragged down hard by infant deaths. If you survived to 20, your odds of reaching 50 were actually decent. Rameses II, one of the most famous pharaohs in history, lived to be around 90. In an era with no antibiotics. That's someone who had access to good food, low physical strain, and priests who doubled as some of the era's most literate medical practitioners. But you are not Rameses II. You're a commoner. Let's talk about your appearance. You probably picture ancient Egyptians the way movies show them, and that picture is mostly wrong. Kohl eyeliner, for instance, wasn't just for looks. It was made from galena, a lead-based mineral, and modern chemical analysis has shown it likely had antibacterial properties that help protect eyes from infections and glare off the desert sand. Beauty and medicine were the same practice. You didn't separate them the way you do now. Your diet, too, would surprise you. Bread and beer were dietary staples, not luxuries. Beer was often safer to drink than river water, since the brewing process killed off some of what would otherwise make you sick. You ate onions, garlic, lentils, dates, and fish from the Nile, but meat was rare unless you were wealthy. Most protein came from the river itself. Your entire civilization, its food, its medicine, its economy, its afterlife beliefs, radiates outward from one river. Take away the Nile, and there is no ancient Egypt. There's just desert. And that brings you to death. Ancient Egyptians didn't see it the way you do. They thought of it as a transition, one that required serious preparation, almost like packing for a very long trip you couldn't turn back from. Mummification wasn't about denial of death. It was about logistics. Your body needed to remain recognizable so your soul, your ka, could recognize it and return to it. Your organs were removed and preserved separately, except your heart, which was left in place because they believed it was the seat of thought and memory, not your brain. Your brain, ironically, they usually just pulled it out through your nose and discarded it, believing it served no real purpose. Now here's where the ancient world relates to your modern one. You obsess over legacy too. You post photos so people remember you existed. Ancient Egyptians carved their names into stone for the exact same reason, because being remembered was a way of staying real after your body stopped working. They didn't have phones, they had temple walls. So when you think about your life as an ancient Egyptian, don't picture gold thrones and endless leisure. Picture mud brick walls and aching shoulders.